Thank you. So good evening, everyone. A warm welcome on behalf of ARNAB. My name is Lavanya. I will be the host and moderator for today evening. A little bit about myself, just 2 lines. I'm a poet and also an author. Published around 5 to 6 novels till date. The last book that I have written was co-authored with Kalam Babu, also known as Mehboob Hussain, and it's called God's Novel. It's a sci-fi novel. Okay, so that's really short about me. I'll just also give a brief introduction on Hydro for the chief guest and for our author, today. Others pretty much know about Hydro. Most of us are Hydro members. So Hydro stands for Hyderabad Readers and Writers. And this club was founded by Mehboob Hussain in 2018. The inaugural session was conducted in September. So we have many book clubs. Either it will be a reading club or a writing club. But this is like both. We have writers as well as authors because we believe that both are complementary. And we believe in bridging the gap between the readers and writers. Also, one of the mission is to make our writers best-selling authors and to groom our readers into motivational speakers, life coaches as well. So before COVID, we used to meet and have offline discussions. We used to meet every Sunday, the last Sunday of every month, and talk about the books we read and all the discussion. But pretty much in COVID, everyone got used to online and we're just continuing with the online. So one of the initiatives of Hydro is a Hydro Zine, which is a literary journal. We started last year. So we have completed, and it's a quarterly journal. So we have completed 4 issues for last year, and this is the second issue of second year. So basically, it's issued volume 2, issue 2. So I'll quickly share our Hydrogen magazine for this quarter, and then we'll go about our next item on the agenda. So this is a magazine, right? I just only take 2 minutes to take you all through this, which we usually do during the launch. So it's from the editors, yes. So Hydrogen consists of articles or essays. The second section is short stories. Then we have poems, and we have also visual art. So we have this time 2 articles. One is Satyam Shivam Sundaram by Neha Bhatt, and she has put forward like what is Ardhanarishwara in today's times, not like the old times, but in contemporary times. A very beautiful article penned by her, and following that we have Parenting Beyond the Confines of Materialism by Soumya Bharti. Again, a beautiful article, very apt. So many tips and hacks for the parents. And then we move on to poems. This time we have a new member writing a poem, Mr. Shubhadeep Paul. He is also a PhD and is a professor, very active in literature. And followed by our own Swapnil Saurav's Hindi poem, Meri Aap Beeti. So the journal is basically bilingual. It has English as well as Hindi. But we have like Hindi very less, just 1 or 2 poems or sometimes 1 or 2 short stories. And then is like Friendly in Your Heart by Nazam, followed by Isha. Isha is again a Hydro member. And then that ends the short poems, and we start with short stories. So this time we have a very realistic stories. Mostly all are some episodes that have happened in our life. So the first one, we start with The Elite Soldier by Mr. Sanjeev Sharma. And then we start with a beautiful story of a 12-year-old girl called Mira's Predicament by Paribrita Sanyal. The story starts with a poem. There's again poetry in between. Again, a beautiful poem. So guys, please check out our magazine. I'll definitely share the links in our group as well as in this chat later on. Then this is followed by If Nothing Beside Remains by Ankana Bagh. Again, a beautiful...
Lavanya, can I interrupt you for a minute?
There
is a maximizing icon on the top right. Try that, it helps. Yeah.
It's better. Okay, sorry. All right. So this is again Ankana Bagh's stories about gender discrimination. It's a beautiful one, and a very short poetry plus prose by Laura. She's from US, and this is her second contribution. She even contributed last year as well. this ends our short story section with visual art. So in visual art, we basically depict photography or painting. So this time we are featuring Mr. Subramanya Ramarao's paintings. And then we have the Hydro special events where we list also. These are all the special events that we did last quarter. There were 3 book launches last quarter, almost a month. And then we had a presentation in St. Anne's College on inputs on publishing as well. And then reads of Q2. So I would really suggest all the guys to check out, because our reads are very comprehensive reads, very different reads, covers fiction, non-fiction, and a very wide spectrum of authors, regions, and all. So we also give the list and also recommendations and reviews that which book you should pick it up. So it's very helpful. So, and that ends the Zine. So this is our Zine, and this was issue 2, volume 2, and this was for the quarter April, May, June. So the next Zine will be in October. So it will be for July, August, September, but we'll release in October. So thank you guys. Thank you everyone for listening patiently to this Zine. I shall stop sharing my screen. So that was one of our initiatives of Hydrozine. And with that,
before we launch, introduce the book, welcome to Raviteja and Srilekha, both are active Hydro members. Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you, Mahbub. Sorry for joining late. I was actually held up with another meeting.
No worries. Okay.
So today's book launch, you said about some other renowned author, right? So did it start or?
We're just starting now. Please.
Okay.
Did I hear renowned author?
Yeah.
I'm not. I'm just starting.
Oh, all right. That's great.
Yeah. Okay. So we have a very special. I'm sorry. Am I audible? Because I am kind of.
Yeah, you are.
Yes. Lavanya.
Yeah.
Carry on.
So let's welcome today our special guest and chief guest for today's event, Mr. Srinivas Nuttalpati. Flight Lieutenant Srinivas Nuttalpati, also an ex-IAF, is the managing director of Bose Software Services Private Limited. With a turnover of 4 crores annually and with branches in Hyderabad and Bangalore, he has 24 years of total IT experience, including 18 years in SAP, R3 implementations playing various roles. He has 24 years of total IT experience, including 8 years in SAP, and playing various roles such as SAP Technical Lead, Development Manager, SAP Project Manager, Data Migration, and so on. So he has almost led teams ranging from 30 to 150 during the implementation of the project over 18 years. Some of the clients of Bose Software include Infosys, Tech Mahindra, NTT Data, Wipro, CenturyLink, IBM, and Chevron Oronite, Japan. So he has basically worked in almost big countries, India, Japan, Europe, and USA, and almost in 14 MNCs through IntelliGroup Asia Private Limited. So welcome, sir. Welcome, Srinivas, sir. A very, very warm welcome to you, and it's really a pleasure and honor to have you here. So this evening, so how are you feeling listening about all this Hydro Group, reading and writing? And I would also like you to give a small address to the entire group. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone, and the main host of this evening, Mehboob Hussain Saab, and then the author, ARNAB DASGUPTA, and Lavanya, and Swapnil, Saurav, and all the people who are attending this evening launching of the Priming You, Stumbling Blocks by ARNAB. I don't need to introduce much about myself because she has already covered, and I feel very happy that today I am finding one of my associate. I can say, I don't say he was my employee, he was more like a associate to me. So the way he used to work and deal with people and the people management, and also the maturity, not only in terms of the management of the projects, but in terms of other aspects other than the management, outside the gambit of technical management, who used to be a good source in terms of discussing on social lives, and also like mainly he's always into something other than outside the technical. He's more into kind of social building, social awakening kind of thing. So I am also, to be frank, my family also comes from a communist background, and so we have some radical ideas. I don't say radical in the sense it's not something that Nextlight or something, but it's radical in the sense bringing a change through what is through your ideas in whatever is the small groups that we used to be. But now his origin has grown to the world through you people, bringing about the launch of his book. And I was actually surprised to see him from a very soft person in management to a level of what do you call, I saw his videos, YouTube videos. They're totally different. I don't know, you all must have observed that the concept and the subject is totally different. And I used to wonder, has it been his own something not from the earlier books or something. So I thought he's a different guy altogether than what I have seen much earlier, almost 8 years back. So this is, and to be frank, I am also a good lover of books. And you know how I started my love for books is in Japan mainly. There we used to travel in the trains. So what happens? Staring is a very, very bad habit in Japan, like staring at other people. They consider it as very rude. And like Asians, generally Indians, they don't love to be quiet. Somewhere in the corner, the people will be gossiping. Whereas the entire Japanese will be having pin drop silence in the trains. They're so jam-packed. So what they do, they carry a book. Instead of staring at others, we used to look at our own books and read so close. So that's where I read most of my books, and fiction, non-fiction. And since I come from an agricultural background, and my studies mainly in Chinese school, Korkonda, have changed my lifestyle and then put me from a farming culture to a modern kind of, we're leading people in software and all. So my favorite author was Jeffrey Archer. He used to, I read all of his books, and Kenneth Abel was my favorite book. And then I went on to read all his books. Then, it's like an inspiration for a guy who can grow from rags to riches, or something like in the fourth estate, the different kind of people. So these are always war between some guy have not and have. So that kind of inspiration I used to get. But they are of course fictional. But later I even read books of Dale Carnegie, like self-help books and personality development books. And one of my best book was How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. But then I have a weakness or strength, I don't know. I have the habit of saying yes for everything. I don't like to say no for anything. So it was so problematic for me. I get into trouble by accepting everything. So I went to read that book, How to Say Yes When You Want to Say No. So how to say no when you want to say yes. Sorry. So that book also didn't help me for so many years, because that habit was so much in me. Slowly now, after reading the book several times, maybe it took me 15 years to say no to 10%. It's still 90% I'm had to learn. So books have really shaped my way of looking at the world, being positive, and taking things, whatever may be the hard work you do, but you can be cool. I worked almost 18 hours a day. Sleeping is very less. Of course, Japanese have taught me how to work more and sleep less. So, so that's where books always keep me at peace with myself. Actually, books and always some itihas like Mahabharata. I love to go through our olden like itihasas like Mahabharata, Ramayana, and Mahabharata has been my very influential way of things. Like I started forgiving people also by looking at some of the characters there. Earlier, I used to be very strict like a military guy. Somebody is wrong, I will never speak to him, or I will quit from a job if I don't like my boss. So these things used to be like, then I slowly, these have influenced me to change my way of dealing with people. So I would say that book reading is really, really going to shape a personality of the people and also everybody, to be frank, all of us. Here, all of you are lovers of books. So this is about the book reading, that whatever I do little, but most of you must be reading hundreds of books. And then also to make some way, like I was very lenient in finance management. If somebody asks money, I just empty my wallet. Then later I'll find that I don't have 10 rupees for parking my car. So then I read books of this guy, like Rich Dad and Poor Dad, and all his books. I forgot his name. So that's how financial side. Then I read the books of Napoleon Hill. So a lot of books that I took as a challenge. Then the last book I interestingly read for a couple of times was Secret. So I took some challenge, and to be frank, in fact, what I decided to do, I did through the book Secret. So there are a lot of things that I learned, I experimented, but experimented for just trying myself and then leaving it. So whether that influence has changed my attitude or made me achieve something. So this is about the books that I used to read, and little that only. I say that it's a ocean. I am not even not 1% of this literary world what I read. So thank you all for this. And coming to Arnab's book, actually I don't like to read e-books, and generally I want a paperback book. So I ordered the copy. So I had to receive it from Amazon. But got a few points from synopsis, what I used to ask him. Like when he just told me about the book, I just got some of the input through discussion with him. So I feel that today's world, how many books keep coming? Still, there is some variety in his book. The first book, of course, Priming You, is different from other books, that it can be a little bit of somebody questioning him, like how is it possible to dealt with so ardently. Like some points he mentioned about the abuses at workplaces or whatever, rationalism. So some might question him, but I feel that he has told the truth in most of the places. And still, I feel the book is very relevant for today's world, and especially the working people can get benefit out of this. I advise the current community of youngsters in software corporate world to just have a look, and you can benefit from everything that we read. We can get at least one sentence which can shape our life. I don't say entire book. There will be one point where one sentence can change the way you look at things and change yourself. So I feel that he has done an enormous work in this, and being the first book, probably in future he might come with more excellent books. And currently this book, I can say, is going to be huge success for him. I wish Arnab a great success and all the best, and all the readers kindly, I don't need to say, spread it up across, being a very good friend of mine. I have already shared this thing with a lot of groups, to be frank. So I feel that if you like something, you should show it to the world. That's the way I feel. So thank you so much, and Arnab, wish you good luck.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. That was excellent advice, and Yeah, I mean, today's youngsters are not about books. They're all about Netflix and Amazon. I hope, I mean, whoever is there here, whoever later on watches the YouTube video and all that stuff, that they understand this, what you have said, that books are so important. It's important to keep this culture of reading and learning. So it's a beautiful advice, sir, and thank you so much. And seeing your own associate with whom you worked years back, growing and moving into a different direction, I think it must be like very emotional for both of you, having worked at one time, being close, and you get both in a professional capacity. Now, sir is launching the book, and ARNAB has written this book. So, it's a beautiful, I guess, journey. So thank you to both of you for giving us today this pleasure of witnessing that how corporate friendships can always evolve out of the career. And thank you, sir, again for your presence here. All right, so I think sir has already talked so much about the book and also about ARNAB, but I would like to formally introduce ARNAB. So ARNAB DASGUPTA, he isn't your typical mindfulness and science writer. Born in Agatla, a city in northeastern India, ARNAB currently lives in Sydney, Australia, where he fills a role as a senior consultant at an MNC. While ARNAB has been in the corporate sector for 17 years, he has changed realms of expertise multiple times, allowing himself to tour the corporate landscape while taking home recognition and rewards. From operations manager and project lead, ARNAB now specializes in networking technologies. These are where the seeds of what we see today began to take root. To put his journey in his own words, he says, more than the tools and technologies we built, he is inspired by the people surrounding him. In different phases of his work life, he has met people of various nature and backgrounds, helping these people find and achieve their goals, educating the people in need, and solving their day-to-day problems is his call to action. ARNAB's big dream is to form or advise a company helping to design systems that help bring employees, management, stakeholders, and company goals together as one. He wants to see the work culture evolve to a place where people would love to go to. Excellent. I think I wish you all the best for your big dream. And I think we need such dreamers today because it is not only about the work, but also the culture that needs to be evolved and constantly changed. So ARNAB, a warm welcome to you from all of us. And before I say anything about the book, let's first see the video of the book.
Oh yeah, sure.
Yes, and then we'll talk. But first, let's have this beautiful video.
Do you struggle trying to balance your work and your personal life? Are you searching for your self-worth? You are not alone. The book from author ARNAB DASGUPTA, Stumbling Blocks, Roadmaps to Overcoming the Challenges in Today's Work Culture and Life in General, available on Amazon, is the help you've been looking for. The 1950s dad working 9-to-5 life is over. In today's world, the idea of both mom and dad having their own careers, raising a family in between, and dealing with the pressures of social media and societal change is a balancing act that our parents and grandparents could never have imagined. Stumbling Blocks addresses a new type of work ethic, WeWorking. WeWorking is a work environment without middle management, with teams brought together with companies developing tiny, autonomous, high-performing teams that will form, converge, act, and disband when a task changes. The new work environment is expected to be in place by 2030. Are you prepared? You will be with this must-read book. Order your copy of Stumbling Blocks from author ARNAB DASGUPTA, available in Kindle and paperback on Amazon.
Thank you.
Yes, so that's the book that we'll be launching today. It's called Finding You, Stumbling Blocks, Volume 1. So ARNAB, how does it feel this evening to see your books promo and finally getting launched? I'm sure you put a lot of effort. So how are you feeling now?
Yeah, thanks, Lavanya, for asking this question. I mean, obviously, it feels great. Before that, since you have handed over the mic to me, I really want to thank everyone. First of all, Swapnil, for introducing me to this great group of people. It's a good platform. And thank you very much, Swapnil, for doing that. In fact, I found you. So thank you to me as well for finding you. Thank you very much, Mehboob, for really establishing a platform like this, Hydro. It's a good platform where you see, both readers and writers coming in one place and contributing, right? This is the sort of thing that we need in the society, I think. And I've not seen such in Hyderabad when I was there. I wish I was there. I was able to find your community back when I was in Hyderabad. It's a great initiative, and thank you very much, sir, for what you're doing. Lavanya, thank you very much. I've seen a few of your other videos hosting. Obviously, thank you very much for what doing for what you do. And yes, thank you very much. And of course, thank you to all the other people that have joined. There are a few of my friends. I'm not sure who has joined, but thank you very much for to everyone who has joined. And lastly, of course, Srinivas sir, thank you very much for such an introduction. I wasn't expecting that. This is, I'm glad that you call me as a leader, proper project manager and everything. But I would like to call this out that I learned a lot of things from you. Your simplicity is something that is unmatchable, right? It's something that it's beyond anything. I think that's the reason you are standing where you are today. So, and I'm sure you will be by my side throughout the journey. And thank you very much, sir, once again. Lavanya, to get back to your question, it is really, really great to to feel and to really feeling great. That's what I want to say. The book is actually launched in Australia first. It has done quite well. With a little promotion, it's sold more than 150 copies in the first month. So I think being a starting author, you call it, maybe this is my first book as a writer. So I think it's done incredibly well with 150 copies sold out. Yeah, I hope the same thing will happen in India.
More than that. Let's hope more than that. So yes, ARNAB. So tell us, what is priming you about, and how did this entire idea of writing this book started?
Sure. Yeah, I think this is an apt question to begin with, Lavanya. I hope I'm audible because normally I speak very softly.
Yes, you're audible.
Yeah. So in a very wider context, priming you is essentially about you. It's obviously centered toward the working class, the working or the employee centric. You can say centered toward the corporate employees, to be specific. But it's extended it can be extended to anyone who goes to office, right? And not only that, it can be anyone who is jobless and looking for a job, or it can be a homemaker, finding themselves isolated or alone. So it's basically you means the inner self of you, right? And priming you, basically, the intention of writing this book is to, as the name suggests, priming is about upgrading you. It's about, motivating you to find your self-esteem, right? To gather and get to know more of your inside. And that's the problem with this society. I feel I have noticed. It's been 17 years. I've been working in corporate, right? Obviously, as Srinivas sir said, I'm in the technology field, but then I was always interested in people, right? Understanding people. I would say if I have not come in corporate, I would have gone into behavioral science. I really find I'm really fascinated to learn more about people. But then more and more I learned about people, I understood there is a huge, shallowness, a huge gap, in people's center. And that's my main target, right? I'm quite serious about this subject. Obviously, I'm feeling great. This is a book launch, and I'm happy that book is selling. But I don't want to stop here. I'm really serious about this subject of helping people to get back to where they belong. So priming you to answer your question is to upgrade you so that you become your true self. And this is the whole series, priming you. Volume 1 concentrates. The volume 1 is stumbling blocks. So volume 1 concentrates on mostly about the challenges that we see in the corporate sector. I have laid down down few challenges that are very crucial for us to learn. So I thought stumbling blocks will be a good start to first show the audience about all the existing challenges that we have in the corporate world, and finally in the upcoming volumes give away the solutions. Yeah. So and just want to add one more thing about it. This is a non-fiction book, right? This is a non-fiction book. So, and it can be quite boring to read a non-fiction which is full of factual data, all facts and data. But then I realized while writing the book that I should add some tips and tricks, just not talk about the challenges. My intention was to really talk about the solutions at the end of the volume 3. But then I thought it's going to be very boring, and then I started giving out few tips and tricks while writing the challenges. So you can see, if you read the book, you will see not only stumbling blocks, but few tips and tricks. So it helps you, while you're stumbling. But then these are not the permanent solutions. The permanent solutions, obviously, well, I like to call that permanent solution, but still not permanent. These are available, will be available in volume 3. Yeah.
Right. So I've shared the poster of the book. It's a book cover. And the book has already been launched in India as well. It's available on Amazon. It's available on Kindle. And so Swapnil can share the book links in a while in Messenger. And we'll share later on the group as well after the event is over. So this is Priming You, Volume 1, Stumbling Blocks. And I think Arnab has given a wonderful introduction of what the book is about. And the cover also looks very attractive. So I was just wondering, Arnab, when you were saying yes, this has some tips and tricks, and probably you have given a lot of examples also. So I was just thinking, you must there must have been a lot of research involved in it.
Mm-hmm.
And how did you do your research? And how difficult or how easy was it to put all that research or references into a common point, or bring it into a proper structured content? So can you please share your thoughts on that?
Sure. Yeah. See, as I said, writing a non-fiction can be very challenging if you're really targeting, some issue areas in the society. And to get your facts right, you need to be working very closely with people that has got those facts, right? So I've taken few names in my acknowledgement section. So I've worked with Andrew and Micaiah, and all these guys are actually research PhD scientists, mostly in the field of experimental psychology and neuroimaging, right? Because I am very much interested in psychology myself. So even though I'm in the corporate sector, I get in touch with these people because of my hobby. And they have helped me immensely. Interestingly, you talk about the research, the background of these researchers. interestingly, you can find most of it online. And these are, I mean, if you know the author, you can find them online free of cost. There are PDFs available where you can download the statistical reports, the raw data of the survey, some experiments, some cutting edge experiments, and articles. These are available for public viewing free of cost. You can actually download the PDF. If you want it, I can share after this meeting. There's a great deal of research and cutting edge science available. And then obviously you need to make sure that you're in contact with the right group of people who are directing you to the right place, not just Google it and get it. So obviously the challenge was there to get together, and formalize all of these in one place. So I would say a few book names. I'm just reading that out. The Wilcox and Stephen survey. I've got the Personal Communication book by Tom Clark and Daniel Dennett. If you like it, I'll share it to you later on. The Centers of Disease and Control Prevention. United States Bureau of Labor Statistics. These are very boring documents, trust me. Very, very boring documents. But then I had to do it. I had to bring out, the best in my book. So then I had to get in touch with these, people and get my research done. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great to know. Yeah. All right. So, I had started actually reading the book. I'm not yet completed it, but I have completed almost like 3/4, and a little bit of skimming over here and there. But I plan to complete it within the next 1 or 2 days. So when I was actually reading it and all you have mentioned, I think a lot of the emphasis in your book was about the work culture and the way we work, or the way the current work culture has to be evolved. So can you kind of, for the benefit of the entire group who has not yet read the book, can you just throw a little bit around the work culture and how do you see this work culture evolving over the years? So already because of COVID, a lot of things changed and still changing. So how do you see it in the future?
Sure. See, I thought that straight getting into the topic of discussing challenges won't be justified if I do it, straight away. So I thought of taking a step back and discuss history. So there I, gave a bit of a background view of how work looked like, the inception of work and how it evolved. Because there's a saying that if you understand history, and that helps you in understanding the future. It actually replicates, but then not exactly copy pasting, but then there is a proportionate value of it, right? How you can see, the past getting replicated, and then there's a format in it. Anyways, so I thought of really getting into the work culture or how its evolution, and I have a chapter for it. It's a very small chapter. So to answer your question, I need to take a step back and talk about the evolution of work first. Work, if you really look into the history of work, you will see it all started during the time of the Industrial Revolution, right? Before Industrial Revolution, majority of the population, majority of the world population was only doing farming, right? Majority of the population was into farming. It's only after the Industrial Revolution you saw factories coming up, enterprises, industries coming up, and there you saw the concept of worker, right? So the concept of work is just an extension of factory. To say it, I have mentioned it in my book as well. It's an extension of factory, right? And then there's a huge shift of people moving from the rural communities to the urban communities, in search of work, because they were hired at an enormous rate at that time because of the necessity. People left farming in a huge scale and have joined factories and farming, and the concept and the culture of 9 to 5, was beginning to take shape. Well, obviously, it was not 9 to 5. It was obviously some 16 hours back then, and then came down to 10, 12, and then now it's legalized to be 8. But then there was a huge interest, because the money was good for people, and then people moved from rural to urban communities, and then that also helped the culture in a different way. It actually helped the city planning. The city planning has been given much priority, because so many people coming into one place, right? You have to have a good planning for city. And then obviously the requirement of food and everything came into picture. But then necessity is the mother of invention, right? So because of that pressure, a lot of development happened. We saw steam engine coming into place at that time, right? Invention of steam engine. And then that actually facilitated more in terms of transportation of goods, right? So thereby the import and export thing got resolved. The problem associated with import export got resolved. I'm just talking about the positive sides. Obviously, there are downsides to it. Not to say there are child labor and all other things, because legal systems were not in place at that time. Child labor was a huge issue. And then there were cultural issues about people, getting into a day job, away from family, all sorts of things, right? But then, as you can see, there's a shift in culture when something happens in terms of revolution, right? And then we saw the second revolution, which is the PC revolution, which is 1980s, the early 1980s. You saw PC, right, for the first time, technology, personal computers. And then that actually enabled, the term called talent. For the first time, workers being called talent. The workers are normal workers. They have been given a special title, special respect. Now, companies also started thinking in a different way. Because of the change in culture, companies really started fighting with each other to get the best talent from the market, right? It's no more the company's goal to do something, to achieve something. Now it has become more of an employee-centric, right? So now, obviously, now employees put forward their interest first, and then company's interest. So this culture was not there. It was always company's interest first, right? So there was a change in culture. And I would like to name someone called Herman Miller. He is a business tycoon in America, and he actually coined the term action office, right? If you search action office, it's about he's a furniture tycoon basically. He has a lot of furniture chain all over the world. He first actually thought about designing the working space. Literally, if you go and search Herman Miller, you will see his models and designs. He actually came up with this, beautiful structure of how an employee should sit, where they should sit, what area to be given to them, and what position, all sorts of things, right? He also have given a good module of how you can bring your home to office, right? That kind of culture. But that has horribly gone wrong. Now you can see people sitting in cubicles side by side without any space, right? You have used such a good idea in a wrong way. As you can see, whenever there is a cultural shift, right? Say industrial revolution, or say the PC revolution, it gives us an opportunity to really do the things in a proper way. Otherwise, it can go wrong, right? Any drift from that cultural changing position, anything can go wrong. Now there's a huge shift going on because of the pandemic, right? Because of the pandemic, COVID-19, most of the people are working from home. So the culture is again changing. And that is the reason I thought this is the best time that I propose some solution. This is the best time when, as you say, as I said, the change in culture gives you an opportunity to, propose your best ideas. And I thought priming people should be given the highest attention, because obviously people are working from home now. It's a twilight zone, right? People are working from home. It's a twilight zone for both the companies and the employees. Companies are saving on the infrastructure. Employees are very much flexible now, right? They can work anytime. Productivity has increased, right? I work in Infosys. Well, I don't want to take names or percentages, but then I know there are a few section of people given permanent work from home. They have been asked not to come to office ever, right? And this is happening with many companies, although obviously not the entire population, but a few section of people have been given that leverage. But then this twilight zone is going to be gone after a while, right? And we need to devise our solution right now. And I thought, let me take charge and talk something from people's perspective. So this is what actually drove me to write the book. And then, as I described, to come back to your question, as I described, the evolution is what it's looking like, and this is going to repeat even in the future. You will see the middle management is actually, I have actually mentioned in the video, the middle management is actually eating up a lot of costs. The middle management will be gone, will be out of picture. Only the talents will get together and get the job done, and then again will disperse. And then again, we'll get back and do certain job. This will increase the efficiency and and make the talent even more talented. So that's how it's looking like. Not all my saying. These are all not all my saying.
That was interesting. We went to make that talent more talented. So I mean, this is really a different perception, or I don't know, different thought that all of us have to think about. Like, are we really talented to be retained by the employer?
Yep.
Basically, right? Because you're saying like the middle management jobs are in risk, or in the future, probably there's no middle management at all. And
No.
most of us, I think, after a certain years of initial career, we're mostly in middle management. The people in middle management is higher than the top or the actual people who do the work. Right?
I know.
That will be a great.
It will still be there. It will still be there. But then, if you realize, there's a huge survey that 80% is garbage. You don't need it. I can share these details with you later on, but you don't need a manager to do a job. It can be done by robots. It can be done by robots. It's just about assigning job to someone. It'll be more efficient if you assign robots. People can actually,
very interesting point. But I hope our managers don't listen to it. They're not watching this video.
Trust me, I've written so much against managers that my manager actually read the book. And yeah, he said, don't make me jobless, Arnab. Not now.
That's really interesting. Okay, so we'll take a small short break here, and I'll be reading out a passage from the book. So the passage that I selected from Arnab's book, Planning You, is adaptation, which comes right after work-life balance. So I'll read a few, 2 paragraphs, and then we'll move on to the discussion again. Creating a flexible work environment is one of the most effective strategies to meet the work-life balance needs of most employees, regardless of their generation. Flexibility in the workplace has been found to reduce stress, increase job satisfaction, and assist employees in maintaining healthier habits. To establish a more flexible work environment that appeals to workers of all generations, employers should offer flexible work hours, the opportunity to work from home, and unlimited PTO. Employers must understand the work-life balance encompasses more than just hours. Employers should try to improve their employees' overall job experience in addition to increasing flexibility. Work-life balance can be achieved by prioritizing a healthy culture and developing a joyful workplace environment. When employees are content in their jobs, work becomes a second home rather than a place where they work for a living. Employers should place a premium on competitive pay, pleasant working circumstances, professional development possibilities, and social activities. That was a passage from the book. And when I was reading this work-life balance, I was actually thinking, okay, Arnab suggested that yes, it's a rosy picture like work-life balance. Employers should strive hard to give that work-life balance for the employees. But in real life, how much does this happen? And how many employers really do focus on this thing? Very few. Well, you can just count the companies on your hands. The rest of all is more about work, work, work. So somewhere in my mind, I started to have this question: isn't work-life balance a myth, an illusion? It probably is not possible at all. And that is where my next question comes to you. So where in your book where you have dealt with the work-life balance and how a healthy work environment requires an excellent work-life balance, but there are leadership gurus. Also, it's not only me that who felt it's only a myth. There are leadership gurus who have disbanded the concept of work-life balance. So, for example, the reason we shouldn't pursue balance is that the magic never happens in the middle. Magic happens at the extremes. This was quoted by Gary Keller. And there's also no such thing as work-life balance. Everything worth fighting for unbalances your life. This was quoted by Alien D. Bottom. And again, Jack Welch said there's no such thing as work-life balance. There are work-life choices, and you make them, and they have consequences. Which somehow I agree to this particular quote. So, what is your take on this criticism of work-life balance?
Sure.
How do you propose to negate all of these people or these gurus who have said work-life balance is not possible?
Sure. It's a great question. Thank you for asking this question. First of all, I actually like this kind of questions. So first of all, if you read my first section of my work-life balance topic, I actually disbanded the idea of work-life balance, but then I had to reference it. I talked a lot about it in this reference. I have to call it something, right? And the only thing that people can understand is work-life balance. I have to relate it to a phrase or term. But then I'll come back to your question in detail. You mentioned about Gary's first quote that he is trying to find magic for employees, right? The thing is, he has a different point of view. I'm not disbanding anyone's idea. Everyone is obviously right from their own perspective. He is talking about performing employees, right? Now, let me give you an example. An employee struggling with his personal life, say probably got divorced or got a breakup, someone's death, maybe. And then he's going to office to earn his living. And then he is actually trying to match up with the performance, right? You are asking to get magic from him. You're asking to walk the edges. No, he's not going to walk the edges. It's a huge risk of people walking the edges, right, and falling from it, right? Those magic will not be created. I understand Gary's point of view is about performing employees' magic. First thing, we need to make sure employees' mental health is in order. An imbalanced employee going to work and you're deserving magic from him, it's not going to work out. But then I'm not claiming that work-life balance is still there. There is a huge transition happening from the definition of how we saw work-life balance and what we see today. There is a blending that has happened, right? There's a blending because of the cultural changes. The work and life are not polar opposites. They are in the same frame. I too support that there is nothing called work-life balance, but it was there at one point. We cannot simply disband an idea, right? We can quote new ideas. Because we are in the transition phase. And people like to highlight themselves as probably disbanding something and coming up with something. No. The idea was there, appreciate it, and then during the transition, you're quoting something else. So that is my point of view. Work-life balance obviously has blended out because, you know, work and life are in the same frame. But I want to quote out that you cannot expect employees to perform if you are not noticing their mental health. Which company organizes training for mental health? Which manager is actually speaking to the individual employees? They have a metrics card. They have a scorecard. You follow that. Everyone following one particular standard. It's not going to work out. The manager, the so-called manager, has to come out, speak to individual people, devise individual KRA or key, you know, performance indicator for each. If you want to keep that manager on the roll, give him more work so that he creates individual employees. It doesn't matter 1,000 employees. He creates individual employees for 1,000 employees. So that's my point of view. It's a cultural change, Lavanya and everyone. It's really a cultural change, and we are not there yet. People are struggling. People are frustrated, and that is the reason that I have stressed a lot about work-life balance. You're right. In my second chapter also, I discussed work-life balance. In my third chapter also, I have discussed work-life balance. Yeah, it's a great question. I agree and disagree with the points that you stated.
Thank you so much. Yes, we cannot disband it, neither can we ignore it, and especially I don't know during this COVID period where people work from home. Like you said, like when there is something happening at the home and you're bringing work also to home, rather than what you want to have a relief, run away from your personal problem, have a distraction. You're actually bringing work to the home when you're trapped in that situation. Mental health was more important, or is more important during these days. Like when everything is merged, you cannot, kind of separate work, life. It's like you sit on the desk, you're at home, your kids are there, you're having a fight with your in-laws or husband, yet still you have to like work. It's really difficult. Yeah. So I just wanted to ask Srinivas sir, because he has led so many teams and all that. So what do you say about this work-life balance and the inputs that ARNAB just shared with us? Do you agree with him, or what do you think should be like, done more for the employees to have a proper work-life balance in the company? So do you have any thoughts on that which you would like to share with us?
Yeah, I would like to say that industry has become more like managerial. First of all, if you don't call it management, I'd feel happy. You should call it leadership. A leader leads from the front. A manager manages things in spite of the health or mental health of his subordinate. His aim is to manage the output, whatever might be. But a leader is different. In defense, we are taught to be leaders, not managers, first of all. That is the prime area where we have to bring leadership qualities in managers. You cannot remove the managers, but you can convert them into leaders rather than managers. They are the ones who get things done. But to get things done, you should have highly motivated people working for you. How will you get them motivated? First, you be the leader. You show the leadership. Lead from front. That's how we get like officers in armed forces. A lot of people are ready to die for the nation. But while others in the nation are not ready. But only the soldiers are ready to give up their lives. Because in defense, we see the officers are trained very, very tough, both mentally and physically. First, you are going through the whole process tougher than your subordinates. So you have the most leadership qualities. Similarly, we should have the managers. If your manager is a leader, then everybody will be taken care. A leader simply doesn't get the things done. He looks into the problems of his subordinates, his colleagues, his teammates. So we are taught to look into the problems. I used to have a 60 years person working under me when I was just 22 years old. But I am supposed to do his appraisals, everything. But it's not just the work. I should look into his problems. A aged 60 years or 58 years age person has a lot of problems at home. If somebody is not smiling, there is a reason behind it. If somebody is not doing well, there is a reason behind it. How many are looking into the personal angle, as Arnab said? Who is looking into the mental issues or the family issues that he is going through? So I will tell you that I am more like, radical, even while working as a manager in Techcam and all. It will be out of the box if I say. I sent first day, first movie. My guys wanted to go for a movie. I said, go.
Sir, you are not a manager. You are not a manager. That is the reason you are.
I'm a leader. So then my boss came and asked me, where are you people? I said, you want the work or the people? You want the work done? I will do the work. Then tomorrow when my guys came, I didn't allow the management to just, abuse the people below me. So his gun should point at me, not below my anybody beyond me. So my team is protected by me. I take responsibility for their thing. If I allow them to enjoy, they will give me double output. It's not that just a fun. But what I mean to say is, I used to take responsibility of my team when I was working, when I was not owning the company. I was a leader, not a manager. I used to be very, very sentimental and knowing, sitting with the people, talking to their problem. If somebody has a problem, it is his problem till he has told his manager, his leader, I can say. Once he has told me his problem, it's no more his problem. It's my problem. So that's the way we are taught in defense. Actually, defense has taught me all these things. If a leader is the one who has to look into the problems, once you take care of him, he will take care of you as well as the nation. So that's what I implemented in my company. Wherever I worked, I never allowed my subordinates to feel the pressure. I should take the pressure and give them. But when needed, they used to work till midnight. So that's how I mean to say that if the workplace is good, his mind is good, then his family also he can take care of. He is taken care of at the workplace. So as in one of the places is mentioned, if you are knowing your self-worth, the work balance will fall in place. I rightly believe that. But who makes the environment, workplace is good place? It's the leaders. But unfortunately, we are calling them managers. I just don't want to listen to the word manager. That's the word I hate. I want to call everybody a leader.
Right, sir. We'll stop calling manager.
Should be leaders.
No managers, it's all leaders.
Yes.
Excellent.
And one thing here, I don't want to start a debate right now, but then it's just, if you want to challenge me, maybe challenge me afterwards, maybe not now. But then, obviously, you can challenge me right now. I'm not saying no to it. But then, it's a hard psychological fact that no matter how much you try, you cannot make everyone a leader. There is only a certain percentage of people who will be leaders. There will be very small percentage, right? The concentration for us is to not make more leaders, but to actually better the mental hygiene of the overall people. Things will fall in place if the mental health resolves, right? You cannot push someone who wants to follow to become a leader. It's not in him. You know what I'm saying? So that's the thing. A lot of people challenges this idea, but then this is my thoughts. But thank you very much, sir, for your input.
So, all right, okay. So at the beginning of the book, Arnab, you wrote in favor of not blowing the whistle and suggested staying quiet may be a good idea. So does this mean that you're asking the employees not to raise their hands when they see something potentially wrong going on? Or what do you mean exactly? Can you please explain?
Right. Yes. So there's an important point here that although if you start reading the book, I understand, Lavanya, you just started reading the book, you have not finished it. And if you start reading the book, the chapter 1, you will almost think that I'm writing against it. You will almost think that I'm asking you not to speak up. You will almost think that I'm asking you not to raise your hands if you see some problem happening, right? You will almost think that I'm asking you to suppress your emotions and not to disclose what you really see as a threat. or as a problem? Well, I am asking that initially, but then why am I asking it? If you don't know yourself enough and you want to speak up, you know what has happened? I have given a few examples of some popular cases of whistleblowers. They died. They're killed, murdered. I mean, if you want to raise your hand without you, of course, you have done all your research and you're probably raising your hand. You saw something annoying or not as per the mark or something brutally wrong. Before raising your hand, the intent of this book is to make sure that you understand yourself first. So that's the whole agenda of priming you, right? Are you sure? Because I'll give you examples. If you want to raise your hand, stick to raising your hand. Never give up. So what people does is they actually raise their hands. Somewhere in the middle, they give up, right? People wake up in the morning, they think so many positive things that I'll do this, that. Somewhere at the end of the day, they give up, right? So it seems there is a gap that we actually have the intention to do good, but then we end up, losing that, intensity, end up, losing that urge of, helping people. Obviously, you might have raised your hand. Obviously, it was a good intention, right? But then you finally give up. My point is, you should raise your hand only if you're sure. And how can you be sure? By understanding yourself. So I'm asking the audience not to get into something, not before knowing the something, but not before knowing yourself. Right? You need to know yourself first. And then I have, in the volume 2, I actually discuss a lot about self, consciousness, the mind, a lot of science in volume 2. Volume 2, in fact, is my favorite, where actually I discuss, and even I challenge a lot of conventional scientific ideas. Thankfully, I'm in touch with the right group of people. So that has allowed me. But then Lavanya is a very, very good point, because anyone who is reading the book for the first time, the first chapter, they'll get it wrong. But then that's the thing. You need to read on and complete the book, right? And do not read the book from the middle. People have the tendency to just open the book and read it. Don't do that. You will not get it. It's properly in sequence. Thanks.
I think you're a very strategic and intelligent writer. That you have made people to read volume 1 and they have to go buy and now read volume 2 as well. Because all the details are given in volume 2 and 3. I think that's really very clear.
Yeah,
So, I mean, like I said, I just started reading. I have to still complete it. But somehow, I was thinking of finishing it before the call today. So when I was like, whatever I've read, I felt it to be like a guide, and a lot of this.
Lavanya, can I interrupt you? Pratima put a comment that she wants to say something about work-life balance.
Sure, Pratima.
Pratima, camera on and say something.
Pratima.
Yeah, good evening. Congrats, Arnab, for your first book. I've been listening to all the conversation. Before the pandemic, I did take few sessions for women employees about work-life balance. And my observation, which I got out of those sessions, to make good choices to balance work and life, it's deep-rooted in our patriarchal norms also. Because women, at least the women who attended my session, they were like, what will my father, my in-laws think? What will my kids think? And is it okay to exercise in the evening instead of morning? So these are the kind of things, they might sound silly, but they are very important choices for a woman to make to balance work and life. So I think this is also deep-rooted in our patriarchal norms. And the other biggest problem, at least in India, is learning to say no. Most of us find it very difficult to say no when we have to say no. We say yes.
An example is sitting with us, Pratima. An example is sitting in front of us. Mr. Srinivas took 15 years to learn it himself.
Yes. Yes.
Sorry.
Yeah. So these are two things that I wanted to say, and I think when we learn to say no, and this is one of the industry skills which has to be taught at college level, which it's not happening. And yes, it's a long way to go, but I'll definitely buy your book and read it.
Pratima, you would love the volume 3 because I actually provided specific training on how to say no.
Okay, great. Great. Then I'm looking forward to that.
That was great. I think we were just talking about in general, but yes, women issues are also something that has to be raised in today's world and attended to. Alright, so I was in the midst of a question that I was saying.
Before I forget, Lavanya, whenever like this point that Pratima raised that people should learn to say no, I kind of add a corollary there, Pratima. First, learn to say no to yourself, right? And then you can say no to others. All my life is been a tussle between what you want to do and what you need to do, right? The responsibilities, the things that you're paid for, the deadlines that you're committed, but what you want to really love to do, write a short story or watch a Kubrick or a nice movie, and then invariably it tends towards some kind of confused decision most of the times. And the thing is saying no. Okay, Revati ji is saying, and also what you can do. Okay, so don't say yes to everything that you want to do or need to do. Also think about whether you can do it and say no to it. So the training of saying no to others starts with the self, saying no to yourself, and really get focused on what you should be doing. The one question throughout the life for me and for most of it, right now, what is the best way I can utilize my time? And it's a tough one to answer. Right this moment, I'm spending time with this event, right? So I've answered this, but I have already also indirectly said no to many other things. So once that gets grounded, saying no to others, I think becomes a bit easy, in my opinion. Just to my 2 cents. Okay.
Sir, absolutely fascinating. I totally resonate with this point of view. I mean, you're actually talking about priming you. If you realize, you're basically asking to talk to yourself first. Completely, in sync with with my book. Can I just add one more point? Sorry, I just got interested in this one. See, I'll just give a free tip to everyone from Volume 3 about saying no. So we're often faced by this, tough struggle how to say no to our managers, especially, right? A manager assigns you an additional work, and then you are struggling with your work, with your existing work, and then now you want to say no to your manager. If you say a direct no to your manager, obviously it will not be taken in a healthy way. Of course, you know that. It will go down to your appraisal, tussle. But then you have to say no anyway. So how do you do it? You basically politely, lay down all the work that you have, that he has assigned you, right? Show him that this is all that I have in my plate. You ask him, which one should I give more priority? And where do you think I should drop one work and get this one accommodated? Ask him to take the decision. That's a polite way of saying no, even without uttering the word no. Yeah, that's one fine tip from me.
Yeah, perfect. Makes perfect sense.
Yeah, so I have a question, Lavanya, to Arnab. Arnab, just introducing about myself, I'm the author of Unique Thinking and the Thought Process. I have defined the thought life cycle, which is the first ever defined thought life cycle. So far, we don't have the phases of a thought defined. So I basically talk about a mind and thoughts. and thought process. So I just wanted to understand when you were talking about, I also work for a software industry. So when you talk about the thought process, so what should be the dimensional thinking for managers and leaders? So in my book, Unique Thinking, I've defined the chapter 7, which is the dimensional thinking for managers and leaders. So being a manager or to prove yourself or to reach to that mental acumen of becoming a good manager or a good leader, what should be the thought process of and what should be the dimensional mindset? Like as you say that there should be a work-life balance. So that means you have when do you say that you need to have a work-life balance? If you are a fresher or a manager, you wouldn't have that levels of analysis and depth of thinking that yes, you need to give out some time for the people on a personal note to have their personal life as well as working in your office. Per se, if you have an organization and somebody is working for you, so to reach to that maturity of thinking where you understand the importance and significance of having the work-life balance. So that means you have the depth of mindset. So that is the dimensional thinking. So what should be the dimensional thinking of managers and leaders? To which extent you call that a management level of thinking, and to beyond which you say that it's a leadership mindset, according to you? I just wanted to...
Excellent question. Not sure. This is echoing.
Is
it all right? It's clear now. Okay, good. Well, I'm seeing Mr. Srinivas's face again because the topic of manager has come, and he really likes a leader more than a manager. But then, jokes apart, very important question. That's what I'm targeting, Srilekha, to devise training modules for managers. I mean, you really cannot expect the manager to become different suddenly, right? There has to be a training module specifically built to guide managers in a certain way. One such thing I can state is about educating the manager to talk to individuals, right? Talk to individuals personally, which is, I'm just saying it in a very layman term, that encourage management to talk to people individually, personally, right? Get to know your key performance indicators on a personal level, right? If you have a standard KRA in your office, and if you're blindly asking your manager to follow it, and if he does that, obviously he'll be a good manager for the company, but then he is not a very good manager for the employees, which never happens, right? We never see a good manager, and never has anyone said good about a manager, because they're simply following the company norms. And the company norms are to make sure that they have the maximum profit. It's all linked up to revenue at the end of the day, right? So it has to come down from the HR level. Those training that I have formed as a part of volume 3, managers should be coached in a certain way, and then the whole platform, there should be a whole change in platform. The way we operate today, Srilekha, is not sustainable, right? You see so much attrition, right? I mean, in the last 10 years, you've seen a huge amount of attrition, and people are actually hopping companies. This is one of the main reasons, right? Job satisfaction. If you give an employee its environment, he will stick to it no matter what the cost. That's what I feel. I think, to answer your question, Srilekha, I think in a very general level, I think managers should connect with employees on a personal level. Yeah, that's one of the points I want to bring in the training models.
Yeah, that's a good answer.
And Srilekha, just a second. Actually, Srilekha, can you go on mute? It's ARNAB, the model that Srilekha has defined and is evolving is parallel to the SDLC, Software Development Lifecycle.
All right.
Like from thought to action, there is a thought development life cycle. I think it's very innovative, very unique when I read our book, and then maybe I think you guys should connect and evolve that model in your own different ways. So, yeah.
Oh, so Srilekha, you basically infused that thought model inside of the SDLC, is it? So
no.
It's like
all right, okay.
Yeah, SDLC has something to do with the software development life cycle. So what I have defined is the thought development life cycle, thought management life cycle. So I say that like how you have different phases of a software development framework upon which you have that applications customized on the framework.
Right.
Like that, there is a thought process framework. So I have defined the different phases of a thought. I have defined 9 phases of a thought, starting from the generation of a thought, which you call it as an idea. And then that is what is called the thought occurrence. The first phase where the thought occurs in your mind. And then the next phase is the thought sustenance. And then thought realization, thought organization and design, thought execution, thought outcome, thought reoccurrence, thought continuity, and the final phase of thought is the thought lapse, where you forget things. So these are the 9 phases of a thought, from where the thought originates to where the thought ends and what happens in between. So this is a continuous process that happens. Yeah, so I want
to kind of connect it outside.
I think Srilekha,
sure.
Very I will want to connect to know more about it. It's
yeah, sure, Arnab. My email ID is thoughtdimensions9@gmail.com. I'll just drop in a message here. If you can send me your email ID.
I'll drop in.
Sure. We'll coordinate after this call.
Thank you very much. Great job.
Thank you, Srilekha. Thank you. So before I throw the forum open to the audience, I'm sure the audience has a lot of questions because this is.
You don't want me to read a passage, Lavanya?
Yes. Yeah, I was about to come to
that.
So before, that's why I said before I throw.
All
right. So let's have the passage from you, and then.
So I'll just read it from the physical copy of the book. So I'll read out 3 paragraphs from the book, from chapter 1, and this is about. And these are 3 very important points that I mentioned in the book: repression, shallowness, and arrogance. These are emotions. These are not fundamental emotions, but these are, you can say, shades of emotion, right? And I stress the importance of these emotions. From, you can take it from an employee's point of view, but anyways, I'll just read the paragraphs, right? Repression, shallowness, and arrogance. Repression. We often act as if self-repression is a thing of the past. Many old societal taboos have vanished, but this does not always imply that we have a thorough understanding of ourselves. Take, for example, the fear of dying. It used to be a natural part of life when numerous generations coexisted and assisted one another. However, as time has passed, we have all grown apart. COVID-19 made us realize how much we have been avoiding things like illness, age, loss, and death. We can begin to accept our fear if we stop suppressing it. We don't have to live our lives as if we are eternal. Instead of repression, we might welcome the day. Isn't that a lot better than always avoiding our own emotions? Shallowness. We can all agree that the world has become faster. It has an impact on how we treat one another and what we think about. Is it truly necessary for us to be aware of what is going on in the world on a daily basis? Keep track of who's dating whom among the celebrities? What's the point of watching the latest Netflix hit and then forgetting about it the next day. Fear of missing out, FOMO. Fear of missing out has been linked to increased loneliness and despair. It's still difficult to break free from the compulsion to know everything. Nobody wants to appear foolish during a dinner conversation, and we are inclined to try to outsmart others with our encyclopedia of worthless facts. As a result, we have developed a taste of superficial knowledge and amusement. I'm not suggesting that we all begin reading classics by the candlelight, as peaceful as that sounds. However, there is a lot to be learned through reading and watching more substantive books and films. When I put up that type of effort, it fills a hole I'm typically unaware of, and my FOMO dissipates. Arrogance. Being superficial when it comes to art isn't the worst thing in the world. It's considerably more concerning than individuals react to news in the same way. We typically notice only the flashiest, most frightening news items rather than what is accurate and significant. We have never had so much access to information. At an alarming rate, individuals are sliding into intentional ignorance. Many people believe in conspiracy theories, while others stick to their favorite pundit's point of view and refuse to listen to alternate perspectives. There is no simple solution to the challenge of locating reliable information, but a little intellectual humility would help a lot. Don't be fooled by easy answers, and don't act as if you know what you're talking about when you don't. The best way to gain knowledge is to quit bragging and start researching on your own. Working on your self-awareness is even more vital. You won't fall prey to swindlers this way. Thank you.
Very nice. The start of the book itself is so interesting.
Thank you, Lavanya.
So how do you find time to write? I mean, you're a full-time employee and you're into so many things.
Yes, that was a major challenge. Yeah, whoever is a full-time writer, obviously, they have different challenges. But then my main challenge was to find time. I took about more than 1.5 years. I think,
wow.
Yeah, around 1.5 years to complete all the 3 volumes. All the 3 volumes are completed. It's all written. I just phased it. The release dates are phased for strategic reasons. But then it took me 1.5 years. It's time is unbelievably, the main reason, of course.
It is challenge.
Time and space, of course, because even if you have free time and then suddenly you have something in your mind and something else is going on, you have to really build that atmosphere to sit down. So that's the challenge for employees like us.
So guys, anybody, people, let's bombard Arnab with questions. Anyone has any questions for him? Everybody agrees to what you've said. Nobody wants to.
What about Dhruva? Dhruva, we'll start with you.
Hello.
Hi, Dhruva.
Hi.
Easy questions only. Just joking.
Okay, so is the book about more about psychology? Is there like more related to psychology, or
it's centered toward employee mental health, but then I discussed it from a corporate angle. So I've discussed all the challenges that we see in corporate life, and then how to face it by bringing in psychology, by taking help from psychology. It's more of a blending between psychology and corporate philosophy. So that's your question?
Yeah, that's
okay. Thank you.
We'll next go to Murli sir. Hello sir, Murli sir. Or Hari sir. Hari sir, like our chief guest, is from the Indian military, veteran, retired. Hari sir, you there? I think they must be traveling or on. Before they can come in, I had a small point to make to Arnab about this office or a work office planning. I think that was started by Frederick Taylor, if I'm not wrong. I think you mentioned another name.
Action Office, right?
Action. I don't know about action in general. Workplace product design and productivity and how to have a perfect workplace. It started with Frederick Taylor. I thought you mentioned another name. So
okay, so Herman Miller is
Herman Miller. You said, yeah, right.
He actually coined Action Office. So he's basically a furniture businessman. Basically, he's got his chain in all over the place. So he proposed the idea about establishing a very healthy workplace by providing his furniture, so maybe in the way of advertising his furniture. But then I am not sure about your your reading, but that's what I read about Herman Miller.
No, the whole thing about office design productivity starts with Frederick Taylor with the principles of scientific management. What I'm getting now is probably Miller worked over Taylor's ideas and to make it more action-oriented office or a action office, because Taylor comes from the factory scene. The workplace is more of a physical thing there, and he gave to humanity that scientifically management starts with the workplace and defines the office and all. Right. So I think I'll check on Miller's.
No, you could be right, sir, because I think Herman Miller is a new guy, and he's mostly about modern workplace designing.
Right. So, action office and modern offices. Not like the traditional workplace setting.
No.
Right. Okay.
There's a question from Reti. So she says that I always feel that education plus power or wealth always leads to arrogance. Your views?
Education
power or wealth. Education plus power or wealth always leads to arrogance.
Well, if this is a statement from someone, I don't know, but this is I would like to disagree on that. I mean, straight on disagree, because it depends what you call education. First of all, you need to define these terms. I mean, obviously there are other important people sitting here, Srinivas sir and everyone. But then, if I want to answer this one, first of all, define these terms, right? Obviously, education. Is it the formal education or the degree certificate that we get, or the cultural education that is taught to us in our homes? What kind of education you're talking about? If the education is proper, nothing can go wrong. Give them power, any kind of all the glittery things that you talked about. If the education is right, nothing can go wrong. And I think your point is valid to the extent of, if education was acquired incorrectly, things definitely can go wrong. Sure.
So, Riti ma'am, did Adam answer your question? Or do you want to kind of add more to it, or you're okay with the answer? Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, anybody else? So, was there a big challenge finding a publisher? So the book is so beautifully content and it has so many valuable or practical guide sort of book. Did you face any problems finding a publisher?
I did. In fact, actually, it's a 100,000 words book. I mean, if you combine all the volumes, volume 1, 2, 3, it's a thick book, 100,000 words. But then the main challenge was non-fiction. They were not allowing me to. They were not recommending me to publish a 100,000 word thick non-fiction novel, simply because of the reason that it will not sell. People will not show interest. Non-fiction people probably will get bored. And the publisher that I was talking with, I don't want to name anyone here, but then someone was actually genuinely helping me to proofing and editing it. editing the book. I've taken his name in the acknowledgement section. He helped me with the proofing and editing. But then he's also a publisher. I did not go with him because he wanted me to drop a lot of data which is from China. They provided a few Chinese data, and this is Australia, and they have some tussle going on with China, Australia. So he wanted me to drop few data, thereby reducing the page count, and then he will publish. And I thought, no, I want to keep all I have. It's an extensive research that I've done. So I've included, obviously I have deleted few, but then, yeah, I've kept a considerable amount of data in it. So there was a challenge in terms of reducing page count and drop few items from the content. Yeah.
All right, I think I'm done. I'm very excited to read the rest of the book, especially after after having this discussion. And
thank you.
So yeah, it was a great pleasure to have you here, Arnab, and also Srinivas sir with us.
Lavanya, I think a lot of people have left, but one college is still there, Maple and Green. Arnab, could we hear from your?
No, this is someone just joined from my side. It's
Okay.
a silent spectator.
Spectator, okay.
It's a small business, but then it's someone that silent is.
Yeah. All right. So maybe, yeah, I think we can conclude this event, this lovely event. So we will wish you all the best, Arnab, for the book, and we'll share the book in our groups. And also, like Srinivas sir said, if you come across something that is very good, we should share and promote it, and we'll be doing that. And I just over to you, Mehboob, for the vote of thanks and concluding the meeting.
Okay. I didn't see that coming. Okay, so thoroughly enjoyed this session. Srinivas sir reminds me of Ram Gopal Verma, the way he looks and talks, but not in terms of he says he's very soft and can't say no. So just I think that pertains to the looks only and the voice, but in terms of leadership, like Ram Gopal Verma is not a commercially successful always in his ventures, but he's always trying something new out of the box and something different, and always be in the news. Arnab said he didn't care for the publisher, he wants to put in what he wants, right? So Ram Verma is like that. He wants to say what he wants. He doesn't care if somebody says, no, don't do that, drop these, don't, no. I live my life. So, it was good to just refresh the concepts that Srinivas Garu raised from people should become leaders rather than be just managers, then learn to say no, devote a lot of time to reading, particularly good leadership books, Napoleon Hill, Dale Carnegie, Kiyosaki, and so on. So emphasizing on reading, and then finally, how much did Lavanya say? His business makes a year 2 crores, 4 crores, whatever. So it's a very good.
It is hiding. It cannot be 4 crores. It has to be at least some 25 crores, I guess.
This is the taxable income we are talking about. So it's 4 number. So exactly. Such soft-spoken and kind behavior, helping out, gentle behavior, I think is more like what Mr. Srinivas radiates is more an ingredient to success. The books can come later, but essential core of a humanistic psyche, a humane approach to life, and so on. I think, and then impressed hard with the military discipline. So I think all that was inspiring to me. After a long time, one chief guest that actually done better than most others. That I mean, hope the previous chief guests are not listening to this recording. Okay, and coming to Arnab, very fascinating. I think we just explored the tip of the iceberg, to use a cliche, about one book, and his videos that I shared about self and consciousness and the he told us in our small group that he has done a ton of reading and research on those topics about consciousness and self. I think very deep and thoroughly enjoyed this discussion today.
Yes.
And to have gentle arguments over divergent opinions, I think, is the way to go to continue the modern dialogue and modern life. So I just saw Murli sir flashing on his camera.
No, I seconded it. It was a very informative and thought-provoking session from the author as well as others, Lavanya and others.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. And congratulations, Mr. Arnab.
Thank you. Right. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, sir.
And Murli sir is very modest as usual. He is a prolific bilingual writer in English and Tamil. He translated Shashi Tharoor's Why Am I Hindu into Tamil, a bestseller there in Tamil Nadu. And he writes bilingual and bi-genre, prose and poetry in both the languages with equal felicity. So he kind of underprojects himself, and another inspiring senior member of Hydra. So
very nice, sir. Very nice to meet you, and really, I cannot thank you enough, Mahmood, because such an amazing platform you have made.
Yeah.
People from all dimensions can connect and share with each other, both readers and writers. Thank you so very much.
You're most welcome, and hope to be in contact after this in some other forms or some other channels. This is just a book launch. I think our exchange of ideas and cooperation, and maybe connecting with readers and writers in Australia, we can explore such things, and as a matter of future collaboration. Like in Hydro, the front ending is done by Lavanya, and the back end logistics support is Swapnil. And I just say in the middle management, crack some jokes.
Your job is at risk.
Right, and going by Srinivas' advice, I think I need to become a leader, not just managing the shows like this. Once again, thanks a lot, Arnab. It was a wonderful discussion, and super hosting Lavanya as usual. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Thanks a lot.
Have a lovely Sunday. Bye. Once again, all the best to you, Arnab.
Thank you very much, Lavanya. You have a good day. Good night, everyone.
Bye bye. Good night. All the best, Arnab.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.